When looking back at the 6th generation of gaming, one particular genre that appeared to have gotten the short end of the stick was the puzzle genre. Back during the 8-bit generation, a little game called Tetris shattered people's minds, selling tens of millions of copies, and other publishers wanted in on creating their own puzzle game to become that next big hit. Over time, the puzzle genre somewhat fizzled out on home consoles as the gaming landscape was evolving and players wanted more from their, at the time, $50 purchases. However, some publishers still brought those more traditional puzzle games to the GameCube, many being multi-platform, and some exclusive in various regions. In this episode, I want to cover every traditional puzzle-style game for the GameCube that released here in North America. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into some puzzle games for the GameCube. First up is Zoocube, published by Acclaim and developed by Puzzle Kings. This was the first actual puzzle game to release on the GameCube months after the console's launch, and what an odd, quirky one it is. If you read the introduction to this game in the manual, the premise actually kind of makes sense, but without that, you'll think you're tripping on what this puzzle game's about. Essentially, you control the Zoocube, in which you must collect deformed pieces of animals and match them together to bring that said animal back to its original form. You can rotate and spin the cube at any time, and as pieces approach the cube, you can press the A button to lock them in and speed up the acquisition. You can use all 6 sides of the cube to collect pieces and can stack up to 5 pieces per side. If you stack more than 5 on one side, it's game over. As pieces stack, you can also swap pieces on the sides so that the incoming animal pieces can be fused together. There are bonus levels you can access too upon clearing the cube perfectly in a stage, and these are all about clearing the cube as fast as possible within the 1-minute time limit. There are also game modes like Blind, where the pieces become a gray color once collected and become active with color when lining them up with the corresponding incoming piece. Knockout is another mode, but is essentially just the bonus levels premise, but for the main game now. You can also play this game with up to 4 players. Also, I want to take a moment to highlight the cool menu here that has the GameCube controller infused with the ship here, and reacts one-to-one with your prompts. As quirky as this game is, it's honestly one I had a hard time putting down once I understood the concept. The next one to release was Tetris Worlds, published by THQ and developed by Radical Entertainment. So here is probably the umpteenth take on one of the most popular, highest selling games of all time, yet it appears no matter how many times this game gets a new take, the gameplay is still timeless. Tetris Worlds incorporates a story mode in which you play as a Mino Tetronaut and must save Minos and rebuild the world you are in to make it inhabitable. It's interesting, as Tetris was never really a game I'd ever expect to have a story aspect, and even though it's subtle, it's something different. The story mode lets you choose the Mino Tetronaut of your choice and tackle the game mode variant for that planet. There's a variety of game types here aside from the standard Tetris, like Square Tetris, Cascade Tetris, Sticky Tetris, Hotline Tetris, and Fusion Tetris. Each provide a unique playstyle that'll challenge even the most seasoned Tetris players. Also, I was not expecting this female announcer when clearing Tetraminos lines, to the point where I think she's getting turned on by the cleared lines.
Tetris. Triple. Single.
Aside from the story mode is the arcade mode, where you have a lot more flexibility to which type of mode you want to play within Tetris, as well as other stipulations you can customize. In the end, this is Tetris at its core with quite a bit to enjoy, and you can also do some 4-player multiplayer action as well.
20 seconds. Single. Countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Tetris.
Next up is Eggmania Eggstreme Madness, published by Kemco and developed by HotGen Studios. This unique puzzle IP is almost like a hybrid of a puzzle block solving and platforming game. You'll choose from a cast of egg characters, each with a different persona, although they don't attribute to anything differently within the gameplay itself. Now, Egg Mania has players focusing on building up platforms to make your way to the exit up top. Crates will fall from above, each with clearly shown puzzle pieces to fit on the board. You can jump up and grab them or wait for them to approach you, and once you pick them up, you can move along the board and rotate the pieces to fit them to your liking. Now, the key is to actually build stable platforms so that the structure doesn't weaken and fall, which a meter below will showcase how stable or unstable your platforms are becoming. What's nice is that if there's a gap within the pieces placed, you can actually drop down and fill the gap if you pick up the right piece. You'll also be facing against opponents, and here you need to be careful as well, as power-up items come into play here, specifically bombs, which if thrown to your opponent can stun them and also blow up parts of their platform. Also, levels will have environmental hazards and enemies that try to knock you down to the water below or try to take your puzzle piece in hand away from you. There's also a few different game modes to tackle here, like this bomb mode where instead of building your way to the top, you need to destroy your opponent's platform to fall all the way down to the bottom. Egg Mania is a very unique puzzle game, and honestly, I deem this a hidden gem. I will say, it's a shame there's only a 2-player mode, but I suppose it makes sense given the game's playstyle. Next up is Worms Blast, published by Ubisoft and developed by Team 17. Taking the comedy-infused war-filled world of Worms, the developers found a creative way to actually make a puzzle game out of this franchise. Upon choosing a character of your choice, you will partake in a journey filled with a large variety of puzzles to solve. Initially, the game looks to take its influence from Bust a Move, but you soon realize it just borrows the core idea and flips it on its head very quickly. You can navigate your character on the boat left and right, and you must use your trusty bazooka to take down the colored blocks suspended in the air. The colored orb currently in the bazooka's barrel is highlighted on the HUD below between each shot, and much like Worms fashion, you must hold down the A button for a certain duration of time to affect the trajectory of your shot. Fire a green orb with the one suspended in the air and attached together, and those will all crumble. A neat twist is that if you fire a different color orb into the opposing one above, it will actually change the suspended color's orb to that one particular shot you did. So, careful with your aim. If you miss a shot, then an obstacle will fall from the sky onto your head. Furthermore, if you take out a bunch of orbs connected, they may fall and you'll need to dodge them from causing damage to you. You can even get shotguns and lasers within crates, each providing a strategic aspect to clearing a level. Each stage is entirely unique, where sometimes you need to dodge certain colored orbs from falling or evade the snake as shown here. There are a bunch of other game modes here as well, whether you play solo or with friends. Honestly, this is one of the more robust puzzle offerings for the GameCube, and it's a great time to be had. Next up is Super Bubble Pop, published by Jalico and developed by Runecraft. This puzzle game was one that released exclusively in North America actually. Super Bubble Pop has players tackling level after level of bubble popping action, but it is a bit different from your traditional Match 3 gameplay. You will move your character horizontally on a grid board and need to throw the colored bubbles up ahead to try matching 3 in a row. When you throw the colored bubble, once colliding with the one up ahead, it will actually raise that one, while the one you threw will now be lined up on the board's floor. You'll need to get clever here with paying attention on how to get colors lined up to pop. There are rock pieces that'll block you, but can be removed to clear a path to the bubbles behind them. The object of each level is simple in theory: clear all the colored bubbles to advance to the next level. You can collect power-ups like freezing a row from moving or blasting objects in front of you. Furthermore, each character actually has a special ability to use that can drastically aid in the level, especially as things get hectic. You're technically against the clock here as each row of bubbles moves toward you, and if it reaches you, it's game over. It took me a bit to fully grasp this one, but I gotta say, it's quite addictive, and the bumpin' techno soundtrack makes it even more immersive. You can also bring on board a friend to do 2-player co-op, which is a fresh twist to the genre. Next up is Bust-A-Move 3000, published by Ubisoft and developed by Taito. One of the most timeless puzzle franchises, Bust-A-Move made its way to the GameCube with the same addictive gameplay players have come to expect. Here, players can choose from a wealth of characters and tackle the multi-path core puzzle mode. Each area you tackle will provide different puzzles and challenges naturally. You must rotate the launcher to aim and fire the colored bubbles equipped and hit the matching color above. The object is just to clear all the bubbles off the stage, matching at least 3 of the same colored bubbles attached. However, getting creative and hitting a strand that's all connected when the opportunity presents itself is the way to go and is immensely gratifying when you can do so. This will have all the other colored bubbles attached below crumble away. After X number of shots, you'll notice the screen shaking a bit, giving you an indicator that the ceiling will start to close in on you. The game does a great job of easing you into the gameplay, providing a guided line initially and removing it after the first stage or so. If you fail and do a game over, you can continue, and the guided line will be provided for replaying that stage. The game does throw a few curveballs from its predecessors, specifically with the stage designs. Some have moving conveyor belts around the level that will mess with reflecting your shots off the walls, while others may be shaped like a scene in the background like this city level here. Outside of that though, there's not much else to add about this game as it is Bust-A-Move at the end of the day. I will say though, I was a bit disappointed to see that there was no 4-player multiplayer option here. It felt like a wasted opportunity on the GameCube. The last puzzle game to release in North America was Puyo Pop Fever, published by Sega and developed by Sonic Team. Here's a puzzle game that first made its debut in North America essentially through Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Puyo Pop Fever has you playing as one of 2 characters as you study at the Primp Magic School. Your teacher, Miss Accord, lost her flying cane, so you go on an adventure of sorts, dealing with wacky characters and facing off against them in battles. Well, puzzle battles. So, Puyo Pop's gameplay is a Match 4 style premise, but the Puyos themselves are blob-like orbs. They all attach to one another, and even landing on them certain ways will break apart the 2 attached pieces that are falling from above. It's basically like Tetris, but with the twist of the Puyos breaking apart. As you match 4 in any way possible, as long as the same colors are connected in some way, they will dissipate and clear up part of your board. The more you clear off, the more garbage Puyos you can send over to your opponent, which will block their board a bit. If you clear a good amount of Puyos, you can initiate Fever Mode, as the game's title insinuates. This basically sets up numerous Puyos to be cleared in a single drop, and you have 30 seconds to keep clearing as much as possible. Same premise, the more you clear, the more garbage Puyos you drop on your opponent, usually leading to an easier way to win. The goal is to try and force your opponent to have Puyos fill up to the top and lose. The story mode itself is quirky, no question, but the puzzle gameplay itself is pretty solid.
Flame! Goody, goody! Yep! Go! Go, go! Ready, steady, go! Accelerate! Blizzard! Goody, goody! Ouch! Yep! Go! Go, go! Flame! Fiddlesticks! Wicked!
When it comes to puzzle games here on the GameCube, there are good choices here for sure. While not a large selection, they are quality ones. Now, there are a few other puzzle games that were exclusive in Japan, like the Nintendo Puzzle Collection, Mr. Driller Drill Land, Load Runner, and Kururin Squash, which I've actually covered already in the GameCube Games exclusive to Japan episode, which I will link in the description down below, as well as a recommended video at the end of this episode. So, which puzzle games here did you play? Any that interest you now? Sound off in the comments below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next episode, GCG Nation.
Go!